Leading into 2016, the idea of holding an EU membership referendum for Britain was gaining traction. A YouGov poll from 2013 shows that 54% of Brits wanted a referendum. A referendum's what the Prime Minister, David Cameron, would give Britain in June 2016. What resulted was one of the closest votes in recent British history. We voted to leave, but that gained a majority of only 1.89%. The decision is widely regarded as the reason that the then Prime Minister resigned from his post after 6 years in the job. Many modern figures in British politics are still supportive of the decision, such as Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nigel Farage. Was it really the right choice, though? We start by looking at simple numbers. So farming is a massive industry in the UK, with 69% of our land being used for it in 2024, according to GovUK. And thus, it obviously requires much investment. The House of Commons Library cites that before Brexit, UK farmers are given a total of around £3.5 billion annually from the EU, with 80% of that being payments based off land area. However, a GovUK blog post from 2023 shows that farmers post-Brexit were only given £2.4 billion annually. Whilst the blog post claims they're being given the equivalent to what our farmers were getting before Brexit, the EU was granting our farmers £1.1 billion more years after leaving the EU was announced. And whilst a member of the European Parliament, the United Kingdom was a net beneficiary of the EU's structural investment funds. According to the House of Commons Library, the UK received £10.6 billion from 2014 to 2020. After these payments ceased in December 2020, they were replaced by the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, or the UK SPF. However, this only equalled £2.6 billion over 3 years, which is £0.87 billion per annum. And it's far lower than the EU's comparable, which achieved roughly £1.5 billion per year. Now, it would not be right to write an article in favour of the EU and then not mention trade. After all, that is one of the main things the Union has going for it. So before leaving, 47% of British exports went to EU member states, according to the Office of National Statistics, whereas now UK goods being exported to the EU are an estimated 15% lower than they would have been should we voted to remain. Furthermore, the Office for Budget Responsibility estimates that Brexit will reduce UK long-term productivity by 4%. Speaking financially, London was Europe's financial capital, an uncontested fact. This was helped by UK firms having passporting rights across the EU. However, post-Brexit, not only has £1 trillion worth of assets been moved to the EU, but so have over 7,000 jobs in the financial sector alone. These figures are reported by The Independent and The Guardian, respectively. Now, a key figure of the EU is freedom movement for its citizens amongst the 27 nations. This meant that British people had the right to work, travel, study and retire in all member states of the EU. Now we're restricted by the 90-day Schengen rule. To work, we often need visas. For example, this has brought labour shortages in many sectors, including hospitality, health and construction. Is this really how the British should live? Confined into the other passports queue in airports, quarantined from Europe by a wall of visas and permits. Whilst it's not likely, return to the European Union would do wonders for Britain. Now that, I promise you.